Alright guys, this is another Patreon request, and as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, you guys get the third tier, and that'll allow you to send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But yeah, let's get started. So this Patreon request comes from Luke Morehouse, who asked me to do... Luke does a lot of Danny Phantom stories. Obviously, I did one not too long ago with Danny Phantom Husband Hotel. I did another of Danny Phantom with Host Club, and now we're doing Danny Phantom with Daganropa. So let's get started with the video. So this story begins with Danny not getting, not fighting a ghost, but actually getting a phone call from the Amity Park PD, and they're just like, hey, hey, Danny Phantom, we need you to come with us. And they're like, and he's like, am I, because Danny's just out patrolling, and he gets called from the police, and he's like, am I in trouble? Are you guys arresting me? He's like, no, someone wants to see you, like someone turned themselves in and wants to speak to you, and you should come with us now. So, and they're like, okay, what did they do? And they're like, this person turned themselves in after saying they murdered several people, and they're not going to tell us where the bodies are unless you speak to them. So Danny's like, well, this is above my pay grade, but sure, I'll go. So Danny goes to, goes to the Amity Park PD and goes and meets the person there. The person there is Junko Enoshima. And Junko is there, handcuffed to the table, and she's just like, "Hi, I'm glad you made it. I'm so glad you decided to show up. I'm so happy you came to see me." And he's like, "Hi. You obviously know who I am. Who are you?" And she's like, "Oh, where are my manners? I'm Junko Enoshima. I'm the ultimate despair. I'm the ultimate fashionista. And I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to meet you so bad." And he's like, "If for a fan, this is a pretty fucked up way of trying to get my attention." And Junko's like, I'm a fan, not of you per se, but what you stand for, and I really hate it." And he's like, "Well, before we talk about anything else, I want to know about, who you killed." And she's like, "Oh, right, that, duh." So Junko explains, like, she kidnapped a bus full of elementary school students, and she basically had them tied down and proceeded to execute each one and made everyone watch. And if they blinked, she would, kill them slower. And Danny's like, hearing all this, and he's just like, "Oh my god!" And ghosts were so much easier to deal with than this madness. And he's just like, "What the fuck? Why are you telling me all of this?" And she's like, "Did it get you all sad? Did it get you depressed? Oh, I'm so happy, because the despair train is just now rolling, because you're gonna need that despair and that anger if you want to save them." And he's like, "Them?" And she's like, "Hey, do me a favor, Danny boy, and check your phone real quick. Just check your phone." So Danny's like, he pulls out his phone, and he sees, like, text messages from each of his family members. It turns out that each of his family members have been kidnapped by Junko and her sister Mukuro. And Danny is like, grabs her, and he's just like, why, you psychotic bitch, I don't even know you." And she's like, "Exactly. I've been looking for a superhero to fight for ages. I've been looking for, a Batman to my Joker. And I believe you're that guy. I believe you're the person that is Sorry about that, but yeah. So Junko's just like, "I wanted to meet you because I needed it was boring not to have someone to match wits with. So I saw you and saw you're so full of hope and joy and just vigor. You make me sick. So I wanted to take you on. I wanted to fight you, and in an ultimate clash between hope and despair." And he's like, "I'm not doing this game. I'm gonna go save those people." And she's like, "You mean your family, Danny?" And he's like, "How do you know that?" And he's like, "Come on, I do my research. Plus, Danny Fenton Danny Phantom, these people are freaking stupid. Don't worry about if anyone's recording this. She's like, I've mixed up the wiring, but your secret identity's safe with me. It wouldn't be fun if everyone knew about you. So Danny takes off to save them, and before he does, like, Junko tells him, like, look, Danny, I'm gonna give you a hint of where one of them is. I'm gonna tell you where one of your family members are, and it's your job to find them. So as he's leaving, that's when Danny gets approached by two people. The cops tell Danny, like, we know you're in a hurry, but these two people say they've met Junko before, and they said they can help you. And he's like, what? Okay, who are you? And they introduce themselves as Kyoko Kirigiri and Makoto Naegi. So Makoto and Kyoko, name got away from me. Kyoko and Makoto both introduce themselves and say, like, we've played Junko's games before. We lost a lot of friends. Also, if anyone's asking, what about the apocalypse thing? Don't worry about that. Different story. It's my story, my rules. So they explain, like, they've dealt with Junko before, and if she wants you, then this is a bad time to be you. And they're like, but here's the problem, though. Junko's supposed to be dead. Like, we all saw her die. So something's like, maybe she tricked everyone into thinking she died, just to, like, fake her death and move on to something else. Obviously you, and that's what Danny's kind of banking on right now. And they're even like, we even saw her sister die, so maybe she faked their deaths. Like, that's the only explanation we have, is that she was smart enough to probably fake her and her sister's death to get away with this. So they head out to save the family members, and each time, they first find Jazz, who's hooked up to a machine that's connected to her heartbeat, and if they move anything, it will flatline her heart. So Danny has to be careful and has to use his power to, like, phase through while Kyoko is, like, walking him through, like, trying to pull the things that are connected to her heart rate. So in order to, like, save his mom, he has to pull her out from drowning without, like, phasing through. Like, there's a camera on her, and, like, Mukuro's, like, miles away, the sniper on her is like, if you, like, go invisible or try to, use your powers, like, you have to depend on sheer human will to save your mom. As for his dad, he has to pull him free from a car without phasing through it while it's being crushed. So after saving his family, Danny's just like, there's no way, because Mukuro and Kyoko have been helping him, like, with all these trials, but through the whole time, they're like, there's no way Junko and her sister are supposed to be alive. How they died was impossible. We even looked over the bodies. So then they're like, oh my god. And Danny's the one who goes, I know how they lived. They didn't. And that's, yes, Danny's not fighting a living Junko and Mukuro. They're ghosts. And Danny reveals that when he goes back to the police station, and everyone's dead because Junko phased out of her cuffs and killed everyone with her new ghost powers. So Junko and Mukuro battle Danny, and she's like, can you believe this shit? Who knew dying was the best thing I could have ever done? With these new ghost powers, I can unleash all new levels of despair that no one thought possible. It's gonna be a rave to the fucking grave, baby! And eventually Danny does get the upper hand by, like, sucking them both into the Fenton thermos, but he's like, there's no way in hell I am unleashing these two into the ghost zone, because they'll just come back or do worse. So he hands it over to Kyoko and Makoto. Hands it back to him, was like, throw this in the ocean for all I care, and make sure they never come back. And that's what they do. They literally go all the way back to Japan and just chuck that shit into the deepest part of the sea. But, of course, kind of leaves off with this thing of, are they going to escape? Who knows? But anyway, so there you go, guys. That is the unique take on this Danny Phantom Danganronpa story. Again, I didn't really follow the whole thing. It was just kind of its own continuity with Dangan. I just thought that'd be kind of fun, Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below what you guys think of this. And once again, I'd like to thank Luke Morehouse for this Patreon request, as well as continued patronage. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.